Hi, today I'm going to tell you about reflecting and the importance that it has on creativity. When learning how to develop your creativity deliberately, it is important to acquire both practice and knowledge. Learning how you apply certain approaches or techniques, but also having an understanding of theoretical concepts that explain how we create. But do we have all the pieces needed for deliberate creativity? I think that an essential step is missing, and that is reflecting on your past experiences, thoughts, and behaviors in the creative process. Because after all, we do not learn from experiences, we learn from reflecting on experiences. That means that reflecting is just a means to get to new insights, not the goal in itself. So, what is reflecting? It is the deliberate analysis of past experiences, thoughts, and ways of doing to bring new meaning and inform the present and the future so that you gain better understanding of how you think and learn. In general terms, reflecting allows you to learn, to understand how and why you behave, making sense of your goals and ambitions. It is an essential skill that TU Delft recognizes that all engineers should have, that impacts you independently of the study you are doing. In regards to creativity, deliberate reflecting allows you to take a different perspective, see things differently, and to become aware of what inspires you or instead what blocks you, and in that way, adapt your creative process to stimulate you. What is the most important ingredient for reflecting? Asking questions, actually. It is all about critical inquiry and making those questions and answers explicit. Independently of the reflection model or exercise you use, you can always rely on the 5 W's 1H. What, when, who, where, why, and how. What happened? When did I notice something different? Who was involved or should have been involved? Where can I apply this insight? Why did I behave the way I did? And how will I do it differently in the future? These are just some example questions, and it's really important that you make it specific to the moment or experience you want to reflect on. And don't just ask one question and you are done. Asking a varied number of questions allows you to get deeper and deeper insights. Reflecting can be awkward or even outright difficult because it's like a mirror staring back at you, potentially showing vulnerabilities or mistakes. But as with creativity, it is by taking risks and sometimes failing that we grow most. Because after all, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. And reflecting is not about analyzing only what went wrong, it can be equally interesting to look at positive experiences to understand how you can keep having them. You would imagine that reflecting would be a natural behavior in us, as we are constantly learning. However, we know that it's better to be deliberate about reflecting and create specific moments to do so, before, during, or after action. For instance, reflecting can happen in preparation before you go into a task. It can happen while you are doing it, and in that case, you are thinking on your feet and reacting. And it can happen afterwards, on action, retrospectively looking back. So, yes, reflection can also occur spontaneously, especially when you have these haha moments, when suddenly you have make a connection that allows you to see things differently, which is an experience very close to what happens when you have a creative idea. But you cannot necessarily force a spontaneous in-action reflection. It usually results from an interaction between expertise and experience. So while you are still studying and gathering expertise, let us focus on deliberate reflection at regular moments. This can happen while following reflection models, doing reflective activities, in peer-to-peer discussions, or even while journaling. Each of these approaches has different implications. If you do it individually, you can allow yourself to be more personal, allow for vulnerability, but you might just reaffirm your own thoughts. If you do it with peers, others may ask us questions that we don't think ourselves, which allows us for different perspectives. On the other hand, not all group conversations are reflective, if they just scratch the surface. If you want to know more about reflecting, here are two resources that have a lot to offer. But the best way to learn about reflection is to put it in practice. Thank you for watching.